Dear Professor Jeffries, I know today was our first class in slavery and freedom, Blacks in the Americas. But based on the course content to be covered during the semester's videos on first-person experience of torture, beating, and rape, I am requesting to be exempted from viewing the videos as they will likely trigger a major stress response. If you can recommend readings to replace the videos, I'll be happy to complete the readings instead. Since this is a required course for me to graduate, I would appreciate your help with this matter. Sincerely, Shadia. Student number 3381502.
No, she's not on my list. I wonder what I should do.
Office for Students with Disabilities, Sarah speaking. How can I help you?
Hello, Sarah. I'm Roland Jeffries, History Department. I teach a fourth-year course called In Slavery and Freedom, Blacks in the Americas. This course is a required course for majors in history. I've just received an email from a student requesting to be excused from watching videos assigned to the course. She says that they might trigger a major stress response. She has said that she would rather do readings than watch the videos. Now, I've examined my file from the Office for Students with Disabilities, and there's no documentation referring to her. What should I do?
Okay, let me think for a minute. This student is not registered with our office, so this consult is about a possible accommodation situation.
Yes, that's right.
The student has reviewed the description of material in your course and given you an alternative as to what she's able to do to cover that course content?
Well, with research, I'm sure I could find some readings, but do I have to do that? It's an issue of fairness to the other students, and I'm also wondering what would happen if every student wanted to do the readings rather than watch the videos. I planned the course syllabus very carefully to include those videos. Do I have to make this change?
Well, no. Right now, the student is not registered with our office, but she has asked for an accommodation in good faith. If it's at all possible, then you should grant her the accommodation.
But the student has no documentation.
This is a fourth-year course, so I imagine that student didn't need documentation for other classes, since the content was probably not an issue in those other courses.
I see what you mean.
Professor, let me ask you a question. For the student to finish her degree, are there other required courses that would cover similar content?
No, as a matter of fact, there aren't.
Then it is up to you. You can grant the student her accommodation in good faith without documentation, or you can tell her you need a letter of accommodation from the Office for Students with Disabilities in order to grant that accommodation. If a student doesn't have documentation from a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a physician, we'll grant an interim accommodation, which will give her time to get the required documentation. Since this is a fourth-year course, it appears that she would be getting that documentation just for your class. So, Professor, it really is up to you.
Well, I certainly want to do the right thing. But I have to say I am worried that if I grant a request for accommodation without documentation, I might have to do it for every student who makes a similar request. On the other hand, she is the only student who's made this request. She gave a reason. She offered an alternative. Look, I will grant the request, and I'm going to do two other things as well. First of all, I'm going to mention to her that I did discuss this with the Office for Students with Disabilities. And second, I'm going to make absolutely clear in my response to her that if she makes similar requests in future, they all must come through your office.
I'm sure your decision is going to alleviate a great deal of stress for this student.
Well, Sarah, thanks so much for your help.
You're very welcome. Glad to help. Bye for now.